Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Harihi Om. Today, Guru Poornima, a very auspicious day for all of us. Let us offer our pranams to entire Guru Parampara. Our pranams to our Param Guru, Pujya Swami Taponji Maharaj. Our pranams to Parama Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda Maharaj. Our pranams to Pujya Guruji Swami Tejomayananda. Our pranams to Pujya Swami Swaroopananda. Today, on this very special day, we have a wonderful program, and the title of the program is Heart to Heart Inspiring Messages. This program is completely dedicated to Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda ji. In this program, we have series of episodes. In that, there will be a discussions with few close devotees of Pujya Gurudev from Delhi and NCR. In that, we will know how Pujya Gurudev's teaching helped them to transform their life completely. Let me introduce myself. I am Swami Prakarshananda, presently serving at Chinmaya Center of World Understanding. Today we are fortunate because we have an auspicious presence of our global head for this special episode on Guru Poornima Day, Global Head of Chinmaya Mission, Swami Swaroopananda ji. Swami ji, welcome you for this program. And Swami ji, before we start, we have a double surprise for everyone, and that is a blessings of our Pujya Guruji Swami Tejomayananda ji on this very special occasion of Guru Poornima with his divine words. Pujya Guruji, please.
Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha. Harihi Om. Chinmaya Mission Delhi Center has come up with a program called Heart to Heart with Pujya Gurudev. The idea is those who had association with Pujya Gurudev and have their experiences, memories, they can share, and all others also can get inspired. I wish them all the best. As far as I am concerned, what I think or feel, I will tell you very briefly. For me, Pujya Gurudev, true to his name, was very personification of Chinmaya, pure consciousness, knowledge, bliss. For all people, he was all compassion, karunamaya. To his disciples, he was prema murti. He gave maximum actually importance to this Vedanta study and those brahmacharis who came for studies. He loved them. And Shishyas also loved him. And what was his aim? The aim only one, and that is the welfare, well-being of all people who come in his contact, their spiritual growth, their happiness, fulfillment, and he wanted nothing else. One of our brahmacharis asked him once, Swamiji, when we meet, what do you expect from us? He said, just smile. We hear about selflessness. He was the very embodiment of that. So I say, for himself, he was true to his name, Chinmaya, Swaroop, Ananda Swaroop. For others, Karunamaya. For all Shishyas, Premamaya. And only aim of his life is only Hitam, Kalyanam, welfare of all students. That is Pujya Gurudev, and I bow down to him again and again. Hari Om, Sri Gurubhyo Namaha, Hari Om.
Pujya Guruji, thank you very much for your blessings and a divine message. Now, let me just please bow down first to Pujya Swami Swaroopananda and take the blessings for everyone on this very special occasion and starts the discussion of today. Swamiji, pranam to you, and my first question to you, Swamiji, Pujya Gurudev is known as Yuga Purusha, and one striking name of Pujya Gurudev is Om Shri Bharata Gauravaya Namaha. Swamiji, can Swamiji throw a light on both, please?
Pujya Gurudev was such a great master that he never took any titles on himself. There are people who take titles on themselves, are popularly known by certain names or designations. Pujya Gurudev always was called as Swamiji only, as well as in the mission he had put his name as Chief Sevak. It is what great people think about these people that really goes to tell what they really are. As such, devotees may claim anything, but what great people tell about great people is what should be valued. Our country is a land of many, many saints, sages. Many of them became silent in that divine state. Pujya Gurudev himself used to say that few had that compassion to get out of that state and lead many towards that goal. Amongst those gurus also, those who had the missionary zeal, like Sri Ved Vyasa, Sri Adi Shankaracharya, who traversed the country, later on the globe, like Sri Guru Nanak Sahib, such masters who carried the knowledge far and wide with such a missionary zeal have been even fewer. And fewer still are those who had a vision and started building the foundation for the future. They are called as Yuga Purusha. And at the turn of the millennium, even the people of the country declared Gurudev as the man of the millennium. So Yuga Purusha is one who actually foresees what is required for the future, and through his or her work, service, contribution leads the future. Such a person is called as a Yuga Purusha. And Pujya Gurudev is called as Bharata Gaurava is because in his vision of giving this spiritual knowledge, which is the very basis or the heart of our Bharatiya culture, Indian culture, all aspects of our life. Pujya Gurudev gave this spiritual knowledge in the spirit in which Sri Krishna gave in the middle of the battlefield of Mahabharata. Very often the word Mahabharata is taken as a mighty battle, but it was the establishment or the re-establishment of dharma to build that Bharat again to its pristine glory of being Mahabharat. And as time passes, dharma declines, culture declines, the very essence of spiritual knowledge declines. And it is at that time, this land of Bharat has given birth to avatars, Yuga Purushas, that not only the country can be proud of, the world can be proud of, and therefore Bharata Gaurav. But Gurudev was not only the pride of India who brought that awareness to the world of the knowledge of Vedanta, which is the very foundation, the basis, the very root of our entire cultural heritage. Therefore, Gurudev brought pride to India, and also in bringing this knowledge of India's culture, made people proud of being a Bharatiya, proud of being an Indian. Therefore, when some devotees, including our Pujya Guruji, sat to think about those names that indicate our Gurudev, this is one of the names which brings a lot of pride in our hearts that not only he is the pride of India, but he brought that pride to India and at the same time instilled that pride in our hearts for being an Indian.
Thank you, Swamiji, for making this both, points so clear in our minds. Swamiji, today is a Guru Poornima. So let me ask this question. How do complete faith and trust in one's own Guru lifts a seeker or helps a seeker to grow spiritually?
In fact, no relationship, even parent-child relationship, a couple's relationship, a business partnership, or even education in school, none of these relationships, and especially where there is communication of knowledge, can be without trust and without faith. This word faith, very often people take it as some blind belief towards a god man or a god woman, and kind of a blind faith, a sheer mental slavery. This is what Gurudev challenged and insisted that is not called as faith. Faith is that intellectual ability to understand the true import of the words of the teacher, the Guru, so that it becomes our understanding. And faith is required not only to understand, but to practice, contemplate, and make it our direct knowledge, our direct experience. For any communication, we require trust and faith. And especially in the spiritual knowledge, which is beyond our intellect. And beyond the intellect does not mean that we have to just believe in some random theory. The logic given by the scriptures helps our intellect to transcend the mind and intellect, to recognize that infinite which lies beyond the mind and intellect. Therefore, how much more trust and faith should be in the knowledge that the Guru gives from the well-tested knowledge of the scriptures. Therefore, Shraddha is in the knowledge of the teacher. And the trust comes in the teacher when we see the teacher demonstrating through his actions, behavior, because yadyadacharati sreshta tattat deveta rojana sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanu vartate. And when you have a guru like Gurudev, whose every action demonstrated, brought evidence to what the scriptures point out, then trust and faith in that Guru inspires us, gives us the motivation as well as the strength and dynamism to lift ourselves by ourselves, to recognize this truth, the infinite, which is beyond the limited mind. Therefore, that Shraddha is necessary. Therefore, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. But it's important to know what is faith. It's not an emotional belief. It is important to know in whom there should be faith and in what there should be faith. Therefore, there should be faith in a person who teaches clearly what the great masters have taught and demonstrated from time immemorial. And each time we lift ourselves and directly experience what the Guru is telling us, our faith becomes stronger and stronger, and the flight to the beyond becomes faster and faster.
Thank you, Swamiji, for giving us such a good insight about both the faith and the trust in Guru and how it helps us to grow spiritually. Swamiji, your association with Pujya Gurudev, we all know, was very long. So can I ask this question now? How it started and how it moved Swamiji in entire life? What was that magical moments?
Very often we think that we search for a guru when we want. We choose the guru that we think, with our limited understanding, is the right person. And very often people all their life are searching for this kind of mystical, magical guru who will flatter them or fulfill their whims and fancies. But this Guru-Shishya relationship is truly God-made. None of us can claim that we found a guru. Pujya Gurudev himself used to say that when the flower blooms and starts wafting its fragrance naturally, where there is a seeker seeking sincerely, it is the Guru who finds the disciple. It's the bee that comes to the flower. The flower cannot go searching for the bee. It neither has the ability, the capacity, and bound to its stem, the flower cannot reach the bee. It's the bee that comes to the flower. In that way, very often I think, when did my relationship with Gurudev start? Was it that when I first saw him in the auditorium and heard him speaking on the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and in the very first session, clarifying a spiritual doubt that I was carrying for a couple of years in my inquiry, in such a efficient or in such a effective manner that all my doubts were removed in that very first discourse that I heard? Was it when I sat at his feet in a question and answer session, asking him the question about meditation, but in my heart trying to resolve that there are so many devotees praising so many masters and each one saying that My Guru alone is the Sadguru, and his mantra alone is the final mantra, and his path alone is the final mantra, and he is the only Guru of the world. So when I asked Gurudev the question, and the way he answered, and his sheer openness, universality and logic, when my heart said that I want to be liberated, and yet people follow the spiritual path in utter bondage. And if this master does not bind us even to himself, is truly my Guru, was it then that my relationship with him started, of Guru and disciple? Or when I saw him, even after his bypass surgery, and we were told that he will not be the roaring lion that he was, and he stood there 1.5 hours, and those days the vein or artery was removed from their leg, and without being aware of his body, inspired and lifted our minds, hundreds of us in that auditorium, where I could see that this person is not a body, but far beyond the body. And later on found out that the very books I was reading in my childhood, not knowing who the author is, were Gurudev's. And probably I was born seeing Gurudev's photograph, because the doctor in whose clinic this body was delivered was an ardent devotee of Gurudev. So, when this relationship started, who knows? But yes, somehow or the other, it is Gurudev's teachings, inspiration, that has led me every moment of my life. But it is only when I first read his Bhagavad Gita commentary, and then I met him, and then after a couple of years could attend the camp in Siddhabadi, and then have a close relationship with him, that one can say that that journey started. But really this journey is a timeless journey with the Guru, and therefore I can never say when it started.
Swamiji, whenever you speak your experiences about Pujya Gurudev, we all get mesmerized and we want to listen more and more. So Swamiji, now let me shift to that time when Swamiji was very active Chinmaya Yuva Kendra member in Hong Kong. So can Swamiji please give some experiences at that time?
Oh, those were the most beautiful moments, because that's the time we started getting close to Gurudev. And rather than just being one of the audience, being Yuva Kendra, we could meet Gurudev, and especially we used to chase Gurudev. We used to attend his early morning talks of the Upanishads, then barge into every Bhiksha where Gurudev would be waiting for us to come, because he didn't want this tuku darshan people or these inhibited adults. He used to love us youngsters around him, asking him questions, inquiries, etc., which of course sometimes the adults used to get a little upset, as though we are monopolizing the Swami's time. But Gurudev, he would say, wanted us to be there, loved us being there, because we were always inquiring. And that is the time such wonderful messages would come through. And that famous one, which I have very often spoken of and told youngsters, that how after one of his sessions we went to the peak to meditate, and it got quite late at night, and some of the parents were a little worried, and there was a lot of anxiety going on in the city. And it was not unusual for youngsters even those days to stay out late, especially on a Saturday night. But we were not youngsters who really went out partying, etc. But most of the people started feeling, who were around Gurudev, that you know what, these youngsters after the satsang went for a party and went home late, and the parents were, you know, what a bad name, etc. Little did they know that we had gone to the peak to meditate. And that's why we lost the time, and there were no mobile phones to call up home. We were lost in time, really speaking. But Gurudev was leaving next day, and while everybody was reprimanding us and nobody knew where we had gone and didn't give us a chance to speak, Gurudev just looks at us before he leaves for the immigration. He says, "My children, you don't have to go to the peak to meditate. In meditation, reach the peak." And laughed and went inside. And all the adults who were sitting and criticizing us, gossiping about us, were stunned that how Gurudev knew and what we were doing. And later on, he told them, "I have faith in my youngsters. After being with me, they wouldn't go for a party. I know they would have gone to contemplate." So these are some wonderful, wonderful moments as chicks, and the camps that I attended as chicks, and therefore could get close to him, which I thought later on as a brahmachari I would not get a chance to. But Gurudev blessed me even with that even as a brahmachari and a Swami, I still had that grandchild-like relationship with him.
Thank you, Swamiji, for this very interesting experience of yours. Swamiji, which of the texts you studied with Pujya Gurudev has a special appeal, and why?
I will say every single discourse that I heard of Gurudev on any text or any topic, not one moment of it, I may say that I felt bored or felt that it was not relevant, or I was not touched or not inspired or uplifted. So practically every word he spoke, yeah? And not because of just my interest, but I would say the dynamism, the clarity, the spiritual strength with which he spoke was so uplifting that it was just a direct experience. I pretty much studied most of the texts that we study, even in the Vedanta course, with Pujya Gurudev. And the entire Bhagavad Gita, most of the Upanishads, some Prakarna Granthas, Narad Bhakti Sutras, but of course, the first spiritual camp that I attended in Siddhabadi, without even knowing what that text is all about, was Viveka Chudamani. And those 2 months were just divine. And therefore, it has a very, very special place in my heart, along with the Bhagavad Gita that I have heard from him.
Thank you, Swamiji. Swamiji, what kind of questions you or your friends used to ask to Pujya Gurudev when you were in Chinmaya Yuva Kendra? And how was Pujya Gurudev's response to it?
Really speaking, in Yuva Kendra, when we were in Hong Kong, our Yuva Kendra was mainly studying the scriptures, discussing and finding means by how we could support ourselves as a group to live this knowledge. Therefore, our questions to Gurudev were always deep and profound on spiritual philosophy. Never mundane questions, never just, casual questions. Though some of my senior Yuva Kendra members taught me just to go up to Gurudev and even ask any such questions that, would bring out. But Gurudev's answers would always be profound, full of humor. But I personally never asked any mundane questions from Gurudev. It was always deeply spiritual.
Swamiji, a thought came to me that if I am permitted to ask this question, was there any awkward moments or scoldings from Pujya Gurudev to our dear Swamiji?
People used to always frighten everybody that Gurudev was such a strict person and you could be blasted by Gurudev. But the number of years that I have been with Gurudev, not once Gurudev has scolded me, not because I was perfect or I may have not done any mistake, but not once even a scolding look by Gurudev. Not once.
Swamiji, you are special and the blessed one, what I can think. Swamiji, as I again remember today, a Guru Poornima day, so our Pujya Gurudev had blessings of two great Mahatmas. Our Param Guru, Swami Taponji Maharaj, and Param Pujya Swami Shivananji Maharaj, that helped Pujya Gurudev to be a great missionary. Swamiji, you also have a blessings of two Mahatmas, our Pujya Gurudev and our Pujya Guruji. How do you see these blessings as a guiding lights in your life?
Indeed, it has been a very, very great blessings. And Pujya Guruji has always taught us, even from my first question to Guruji, the day I thought that if I want to study the Vedanta course, I would like to study under him and him alone. Reason is because Pujya Guruji always taught us how to be completely surrendered, devoted to Pujya Gurudev. And therefore, it was like being devoted to Ramchandraji and to Hanumanji. And Hanumanji always leads you to Ramchandraji. So, for me, it is never two gurus. I have only one guru, because if there you say there is other is merged in that one or at his feet.
Thank you, Swamiji, for, really making us mind absolutely clear and one pointed towards the Guru Tattva. Swamiji, as just Swamiji mentioned about Sri Ramji, so some thought came to me. Sri Ramji's avatar was as Maryada Purushottam. Sri Krishna Bhagwan's avatar was as Leela Purushottam. So Swamiji, can you please give us glimpses of these two facets in our Pujya Gurudev?
Being with Gurudev, even though he never allowed people to call him an avatar or God, etc., but those of us who have been with him, the royalty with which he presented himself, and not the royalty of kingship, but of leadership, of perfection in everything he did. That which Naradji tells to sage Valmiki, that perfect in every aspect of his life, from living dharma to even fighting his enemies, to being the most ideal son, brother, etc., as far as Ramchandraji is concerned. But in all aspect, Pujya Gurudev, and this is not only what we have seen, even great masters today, who are considered by their devotees as great masters and are well known, they have told us directly that when you say the word perfect, in every aspect, even from the way he wore, even the simple one cloth that he wore from Himalayas and came down, how he spoke, his teaching and oratory, how he walked, how he looked, how he wrote his letters, how he even put the stamp. The first time I had opportunity to go and offer some service as a youngster in Siddhabadi, and he was making his itinerary. He was posting his itinerary, writing each envelope with his hand. So we were told to paste it. And of course, in a hurry, youngsters were pasting it this way. He said, no, this is going to devotees. They will say it's come from Swamiji. No, he showed us even how to put fast yet neatly the stamps. His eye to details. Everything he did was with such perfection that you could see Maryada Purushottam Ramchandraji in him. When he sat in meditation and he gave his discourses, you see Dakshinamurti, the Supreme Purushottam himself, no? And as far as his joy, laughter, humor, and understanding of life's most complicated, intricate problems, and helping people and living every moment, bringing joy, laughter, serving the people in the middle of the battlefield of life. And the most beautiful quality that only Krishna seems to have, we can only see it in Gurudev afterwards, that he made, just like Krishna made everyone feel special and feel he was only for them, even Duryodhan, mind you. All the gopis, gopas, they felt that Krishna gave them his entire love and attention. That special feeling that only Krishna seems to have given, that is what every devotee, even today who have not met him, have that feeling. Whether it was through his letter, whether it was through a glance, whether it was through a word, an inquiry, everybody felt that he or she was the most special for Gurudev. And that's why you'll hear most of the Gurudev devotees saying, and sounds almost egotistic, but it's not egotistic, that they felt that they were the most special because Gurudev made them feel so special. That is what Krishna is. And you could every moment, even the most, difficult situation, the way he used to laugh, his entire being laugh, and he used to make you laugh, all your problems away. Therefore, prasanneva bharata, the Gita starts with, that with a smile on his lips, laughter through every pore of his body, every breath. Not only a teaching, but giving and sharing. That is the Krishna that we see in Gurudev.
Swamiji, it's so interesting to keep listening to you and different experiences as well as fantastic explanations. Swamiji.
Now, first of all, how long do you want this interview to go on? Okay, go on.
Swamiji, during the last few years of Pujya Gurudev's physical manifestation, how was Swamiji's relation with our Pujya Gurudev?
As I said, I had a grandfather-like relationship, and therefore, even though I always held him with great reverence, I never said anything stupid or behaved, in front of him. That many devotees had that liberty even of doing it. But one thing is that I always felt so loved and comforted that I knew he could just see through you, in you, everything. And I just, felt just like a grandparent just knows the grandchild and is so loving and will forgive any mistakes or whatever it may be. That I was never afraid. I had my reverence, and that fear of reverence was always there, of awe, but not any form of fear of him, not even of being scolded, because I knew that whenever he scolded someone, it was never out of anger, it was always to remove their imperfections, especially their ego. And therefore, that comfort that I had with him, and every breath, every moment was a learning. And that love, that peace, and that spiritual upliftment that you felt, that really when it is said, Acharyavan Purusho Veda, being in the presence of Gurudev, how can you even deny that you don't know what he was showing? So that is what was there. And being a brahmachari Swami, I never thought differently. I was that same youngster who was with him. And even though, as a brahmachari, now and then when I asked him a question, and definitely it would be spiritual question, but he could lovingly say, Buddhu, or at least sound like that. And I could tell number of incidents where he didn't reprimand me as my question being Buddhu, but to make me see that how much love he had for the people. And one such incident was that he was not allowed to speak more than 20, and this is 1993, 1 month before his Mahasamadhi. He was supposed to speak only 20 minutes. He was allowed 1 hour because he is Swami Chinmayananda. But he went on for 1.5 hours speaking on the 9th chapter of the Gita. Neither they are in me nor I am in them. And he knew that I was very worried, very concerned. And I had taken permission from him before that if you overdo, may I stop you? That was a liberty I could take with him. And he had told me yes, but yet he wouldn't stop, even though every day we pleaded to him that please do not go more than 1 hour. And that day he went there on. And he knew that we were upset, not upset at him, but we were really upset and concerned. And now Mr. Chandrai had actually dropped his expensive watch as an alarm. And he had told him that I'll do it, even if it crashes. But Gurudev didn't even look towards it. So he was very upset. And Gurudev looked at me. He knew that I was very, very concerned. So he looked at me and he said, they will not understand. But you can understand. Where was I taking everybody? Now if I stopped in half, then tomorrow 45 minutes it will take me to lift them to that state, to understand. And I could see that he did not care about his body or his life, as long as he can show us our eternity.
Swamiji, this experience was so touching. Swamiji, can you please tell us what was Puj Gurudev's vision and what is his legacy?
To say if anybody can understand or know, or all of us put together can know the very many facets of his vision, we would be deluding ourselves. But one thing was clear that he demonstrated in his life, that it is through this spiritual knowledge of Vedanta we can understand our oneness with everyone, which is the basis of our own self-development, happiness, and the growth of the community by spreading happiness to everyone. So, really speaking, if you say it's a national building program, or it is in education, or it is through, imparting Gyan Yagyas, these all activities that Gurudev started was to fulfill that great Rishi vision, to not just have praja, but to have supraja. Not to have just a country, but a nation built on values and culture, that by which people live a prosperous and happy life, producing more than what they consume, but most important, giving more than what they take. And this he did through imparting the knowledge of Vedanta, particularly through Bhagavad Gita. That this knowledge should transform me, and by my transformation, the world gets transformed.
Swamiji, thank you so much for sharing your very, very deep insight about this vision as well as his legacy. Swamiji, I thank profusely from my core of the heart for giving us your blessings on this special day of Guru Poornima, and also accepting for doing this beautiful discussion for this program, Heart to Heart Inspiring Messages. Thank you, Swamiji. Our pranams to you. We bow down to your lotus feet to get the Guru Bhakti and strengthen our Gurudev's vision to make us our own vision. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you.
I thank all of you for making this program possible. First of all, for us to reminisce on Gurudev. And as Guru Arjan Dev Sahib has said, simar, simar, sukha pawa. What keeps us away from our Guru, from Lord, the truth, is our own mind. Every moment we remember His glory and make people remember Him. Not only we are in bliss, we spread that happiness to everyone.
Swamiji, can we just chant the Shanti mantra?
Yes, please.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om. Om Shri Chinmaya Sadgurave Namaha.
See, there was a very fat lady in the ashram. So she was telling Swamiji that, Swamiji, I don't eat anything at all, I eat very little, yet I go on putting on weight and all, I don't know. So Swamiji immediately called, he said, come here, come here, come here. He called everybody and then he said, I will show you a miracle. This is an effect without a cause.
Oh my God. Oh. त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव